the challenge of a problem or the importance isn't that related to how likely you are to achieve it. And in fact, even when you go after a more ambitious goal, even if you fail to achieve that one, all the side effects that come along the way can be that much more rewarding and significant in their own right. And so, I feel lucky that I fell into doing something that I feel really matters, getting people information around the world about anything. I wish there was a way to convey that too, to the world at large. Obviously, all of you already have this religion, but it's very rewarding when you work on something you think is going to make a big difference. And yeah, it's a little bit harder, but I think the passion that one might bring with it brings so much more energy to that you're more likely to succeed.
With all of the technology and the connectedness that we see, you have an opportunity that's even better, even stronger than anything that I ever faced when I was sitting in the same seats. You're seeing a situation where, due to the enormous goodwill of people here on the stage and others, we have an opportunity to have everyone in the world have access to all the world's information. This has never been possible. Now, why is this so important? Why is ubiquitous information so profound? It's a tremendous equalizer. Information is power. People have fought over it. People care a lot about it. It serves as a check and balance on politicians. If you're a dictator, which of course you're not going to be because you're a fine graduate from Penn, first thing you would do is shut off all the communication so that the people couldn't actually talk to each other and figure out how to make the world a better place. Information is very, very important. And in fact,
marketing's about values. This is a very complicated world. It's a very noisy world. And we're not going to get a chance to get people to remember much about us. No company is. And so we have to be really clear on what we want them to know about us.
Okay, the next thing that is important to find is courage. Courage to do things you aren't ready to do. This is probably the scariest piece of advice I'm giving you today. Do something you're not ready to do. My life has been shaped by 4 major decisions to do things I wasn't ready for. As a naive 18-year-old from Wisconsin, I moved 2,000 miles away from home to go to college. As a disheartened biology and chemistry major, I changed my major to symbolic systems when I could barely describe to my parents what symbolic systems was, let alone what I could do with such a degree. I moved to Zurich, Switzerland for a summer to do research, despite the fact that I don't speak any German. And in 1999, when I was graduating with my master's, I chose to work at an unheard of 8-person startup with a ridiculous name. Each of these 4 decisions put me in entirely over my head, each in different ways. The last one, the startup, particularly so. In 1999, the search engine market was fractured across about 12 different players. InfoSeek, Lycos, AltaVista. Most of these search engines were long gone before you all hit puberty. But the basic gist was that in 1999, the world didn't need another search engine. Yet when I interviewed at Google, Larry and Sergey were determined they could change the world through search and laid out a vision around how. At the end of the interview, Sergey handed me a business card printed with a dot matrix printer on the cardstock equivalent of typing paper, where if you looked closely at the edges, you could see the perforations where he had torn the cards apart himself. And he told me to get back to him. I went home and contemplated it. I could already imagine being the brunt of all family reunion jokes when I was 40. Let's face it, the company name itself is like a punchline. I could hear my parents already. When Marissa graduated, she went to a company called, get this, Google. In my mind, I gave the company about a 2% chance of succeeding, which is about 100 times what I would give the other startups I was talking to at the time. But I still realized we would most likely fail. The turning point for me was when I realized that I would learn more at Google trying to build a company, regardless of whether we failed or succeeded, than I would at any of the other companies I had offers from.
When I was young, I didn't really know what I was going to do when I got older. People kept asking me, and But then eventually I thought that the idea of inventing things would be really cool. And the reason I thought that was because I read a quote from Arthur C. Clarke, which said that a sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that's really true. If you go back, say, 300 years, the things that we take for granted today would be, you'd be burned at the stake for. Being able to fly, that's crazy. Being able to see over long distances, being able to communicate, having effectively, with the internet, a group mind of sorts, and having access to all the world's information instantly from almost anywhere on the earth. This is stuff that really would be magic, or would be considered magic in times past. In fact,
Doing something you aren't ready to isn't comfortable. For me, and I assume for many of you, it gives you that uneasy, upset feeling in your stomach. That sense that this time you may have gotten too close to the edge. But in pushing through that discomfort, you'll learn a lot more about yourself. You'll learn to do something you didn't think you could do, or you'll learn where your limits are. Either is valuable. It's important to push through that uneasiness, though, because in that moment of finding your courage, you really grow and you really reach. I'll say it again, do something you're not ready to do.